Hi everyone. We all know the expression plot twist that has come into our lives from cinema and video games. Usually we use it when we talk about an unexpected turn of events in a book or a film. However, there are plot twists in real life too. And today we'll tell you funny stories with an ending you couldn't possibly predict. Let's get it on. A baseball. Catching a ball during a football or baseball game is a dream of many fans. So what's so cool about it? Well, first, this ball can be a great addition to the collection. And secondly, many use it as a way to make good money, because these balls are easy to sell for good money. Travis Blackwell loves the Detroit Tigers team and goes to the stadium prepared. He even has his own baseball glove, and during this game he was especially lucky. His dad caught the foul ball. What else could this little baseball fan possibly need to be happy? However, no one expected that the boy would go down a couple of rows to give the ball to another kid. What Travis did amazed all the adults on the stand, because no one even asked him to do it. Turned out that kid had a birthday, and Travis decided to give him an unexpected gift. In an interview with reporters, Travis said that a couple of years ago, an adult fan gave him the ball that he caught during the game, and this just made his day. He experienced such genuine joy that day that he wanted to share it with another kid. Victory in a wrestling match. Imagine the life of a professional athlete. Usually, he has to do exhausting workouts for years before spending an intense few minutes in the ring or an hour or two on the field. All this puts tremendous psychological pressure on a person and makes us respect them even more. This guy named Merrick Bush from a small town of Utica in New York knows a thing or two about preparing for a serious match. Thanks to his effort and talent, he's already won the state champion title. But there was one strong competitor in his weight group who posed a real challenge to Merrick. His name was Logan Patterson. For many days, the athlete trained hard to finally meet the opponent face to face. The fight turned out to be really intense and spectacular. Merrick's opponent was dominating the entire fight, until, with just about 30 seconds left, he twisted his elbow. Of course, after this injury, Logan had no chance of winning. However, instead of taking advantage of this incident and snatching a coveted victory from Logan, Merrick headed back to his mat, laid there, and did nothing. He didn't even try to continue the fight, surrendering to the opponent and giving him a well-deserved triumph. Later, Merrick admitted that he was afraid to look like a weakling because of what he did. However, we believe that his gesture was a real manifestation of sportsmanship.
No, he's no weakling at all. I mean, state championships come and go, but that, you can't take that away from a kid.
Secret walks. One day, a 9-year-old kid from the Philippines named Ken began to disappear from his house to go on long walks. Well, what can a child do on the street at that age? Probably climbing trees and causing mischief, you may think. Well, Ken's father thought the same thing, but one day he decided to spy on his son and finally found out where he spends so much time. However, what he saw impressed him a lot. Turned out that Ken didn't actually go to play with his friends. He left home for several hours to feed dozens of stray dogs.
Daddy.
Many of these animals have avoided any contact with humans for years due to a painful experience in the past, but Ken has earned their trust and became their best friend. Ken's father was inspired by what his son did and decided to help him in this difficult mission. When Ken was a kid, his father was skeptical of the idea of pet shelters and always told his son that it would take a lot of money and at least 20 years of continuous work to build them. But the boy's kindness inspired his father so much that together they founded a volunteer organization called the Happy Animals Club. Thanks to the internet, the project found support from many people from different cities and countries, and Ken finally made his dream come true. Bad roads. This 12-year-old boy also went out for hours on end, refusing to tell its mother what he was actually doing outside. We'll be honest, she was getting pretty worried, but when she found out the reason, she was quite surprised. It all started when Monty and his mother were driving around their hometown in Muskegon Heights in Michigan. As they were driving along one of the streets, a deep pothole took out the car's tire, and they weren't the first ones. Residents of Muskegon have long complained about the horrible state of the roads in their region. Monty was so outraged by the situation that he decided to take matters into his own hands. He began to wander the streets of his native city and cover up the troublesome craters, all in secret. Obviously, he did not get a penny for it either. One day, someone filmed him working and posted the video on Facebook. That was when Monty's mother found out that all this time, the boy had not been fooling around, but helping other people. A backpack with money. We've all probably wondered what we would do if we found a bundle of money on the street. It seems unethical to take it, right? However, many would do just that. Well, this man named Dave had lost a lot in his life, but certainly not his kindness and honesty. One day, this homeless man found an abandoned backpack on the street. When he looked inside, he discovered $3,300 in cash. Just imagine how his life could have changed if he'd kept the money. After all, at that time, the only thing he owned was an old bicycle and a mattress on which he slept in the basement of a local church. Dave could have finally found a place to live, buy his favorite food, and start a new life, but he was determined to find the owner of the lost backpack. With the help of the church's employees, Dave managed to find the owner, a college student named Brian, who was saving up money to buy his first car. When the guy got his money back, he just couldn't believe his luck.
Dave, how you doing? Hey, thank you. No problem.
And other citizens couldn't believe that there were such kind and selfless people in the world, so they decided to help Dave out by collecting donations for him. As a result, a year later he found a job, bought his own apartment, and had a fresh start in life. Money in a taxi. Here is another similar story. One day, Gerardo Gamboa, who works as a taxi driver in Las Vegas, discovered someone left cash in his car. Not just a couple of dollar bills, but a fortune of $300,000. That was, however, not surprising, because he often had to work with casino regulars. Despite the temptation, the driver found the passenger who had forgotten the money and returned it. The passenger, by the way, turned out to be a talented poker player who decided to thank the honest taxi driver by leaving him a generous tip of $10,000. More than that, Gerardo received another $1,000 from his employers, who appreciated his professionalism and honest attitude. A Facebook message. Let's be honest, we're all tired of scammers on social networks who pretend to be charity organizations with noble goals. Ben from the US state of Utah, like many of us, was very skeptical about requests for help on the internet until this story happened to him. One day, a guy named Joel contacted Ben. He claimed he lived in the African country of Liberia and needed financial help. After receiving the message, Ben, out of curiosity, decided to ask how exactly he could help. The two men engaged in something like a business correspondence, but Ben never believed a word Joel wrote. He lied about having a photography business in the US and suggested that Joel send him some pictures from Liberia. The photos Joel sent were far from perfect, and Ben decided to send his new friend a cheap camera. By that time, Joel had already made up his mind to devote himself to photography, and very soon, Ben received dozens of incredible photos of African landscapes.
Yeah, these are actually pretty good.
That's when he realized that he would have to somehow repay his pen pal for his time and effort. Ben made a photo book out of the photos that became a bestseller thanks to his audience, because Ben is actually a blogger. Soon, the sales revenue reached $1,000, and Ben offered to send the money to Joel, with one condition: he takes half for himself and donates the other to charity. Ben, of course, hardly believed that Joel would do that, because $500 is the average annual salary of a Liberian citizen. But Joel managed to surprise him once again. He began to send his business partner dozens of photos from schools and kindergartens that he helped with the money he'd earned. That's when Ben's skepticism finally shattered. A few months later, he went to Africa to meet Joel in person. A night in prison. And finally, a story worthy of becoming a plot for a short movie. In 2016, a military judge and veteran Lou Oliveira passed an unusual sentence on a former Special Forces soldier, Joe Cerna. A few months before the trial, he was arrested for drunk driving and then got caught lying about a recent urine test. Oliveira decided to teach the offender a lesson and sentence him to prison for only one night though. However, Joe's wartime experience left him scarred. He lost many many of his friends in action and went through a lot of hardship. When he and his companions were trapped in a sunken truck for many hours, the veteran developed severe claustrophobia. All his friends died back then. That was why spending an entire night locked up and alone was his worst nightmare. But the judge was a far more compassionate man than you might think. He offered to spend the night in a cell together with Joe, so every minute of that scary night, the judge was there for him. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.